I start, I think welcome all to all of us to the 19th edition of Asia Africa GCC Retail and Shopping Center 19th edition. And I'm humbled, and my deep thanks to Mr. R.L. Bhatia, Mr. Alok Pandit, and the entire team behind this event who've been relentlessly for all these years. And I was having this chat with Alok offline that how many years it's been. So I think since it's been founded, it's been more than 32 years. And with the 19th edition of bringing one of the best minds and talent across the country for retail and leading that thought leadership, I think a whole lot of congratulations to the entire forum. So guys, let's just, before we start. To start with, I think the agenda for today and to kickstart this momentous event, there could be no other topic of what we have seen, the big transformation in last odd 3 years. I think with the starting of 2020, one of the biggest transformations and disruptions that we've seen across the globe has been industries which have been consumer facing and also otherwise. But in last 3 years, we've seen almost a semi-permanent change in behavior, not just in India, Asia, and globally. And consumers in last 3 years have adapted to newer habits, newer cultures, and newer forms of consumption, which most businesses are getting adapted to globally. I think if we look back as consumers of what we have seen in last 2 to 3 years, it's been one of the biggest transformation waves in retail. It was 2010, I think, in India when we started witnessing the advent of e-commerce, and which used to be a minuscule, less than 0.3, 0.5% of the entire retail industry, is now contributing a whooping 4.5%, 5%. Modern retail in India is contributing a whole degree of 10 to 11%, and 89% of the retail, which is the mom and pop store and the kirana stores across the country, are yet to be disrupted there. But what we have witnessed is both disruption in B2C and B2B businesses, business to consumer with the advent of consumer-facing omni-channels like e-commerce businesses, a whole lot of micro, small, and medium enterprises in the country, which are almost 61 million. They have got an opportunity like never before. I think the way we have democratized the reach to consumers through disruption of retail, even a small business into the hinterlands of the country has an equal opportunity to reach out to consumers, which were erstwhile dominated by the leading FMCG companies and the bigger multinationals in terms of monopoly on distribution. And now, in last 2 years, I think as consumers, we have witnessed more brands over Instagram, over social media, and these are smaller brands who have really revolutionized the way and the method in which verticalization happens, which means now as consumers, we are seeing newer brands which are just selling snack bars, which are selling organic honey, which are selling coffee, cold pressed juices, and so much more. And every day we discover such brands. In fact, one of the most recent surveys by Nielsen says that an average Indian consumer has been exposed to 200% more brands in last 3 years as they have been in the entire decade. So I think the entire video that we saw of bringing back nostalgia of the old brands, when we go back 10 years down the line, I think we'll see a whole new metaverse and AI of what we've been witnessing with the D2C brands. Starting with that, I think we've also seen a complete shift in the way consumers have changed in last 3 months. And it is said that a habit is inculcated in 21 days. But I think as consumers, we have practiced being homebound for almost 2.5 years. And even globally, a lot of countries now are on hybrid working, and hybrid working is the new culture. So everything being shipped to your doorstep, it's not just been the democratization and disruption of the way consumers shop with D2C and e-commerce, but also a whole lot of disruption in the last mile logistics and delivery business. Just imagine, I think the number of deliveries which have exponentially gone up in last 3 years, right from your Zomatos getting delivered at home, to your medicines through Tata 1mg getting delivered, to groceries and so much more. I think, and that entire disruption in last mile delivery has brought back a complete change in the way brands are also seeing consumers now. So just looking at the big trends in 2023, and how do we summarize and really look at a perspective of the retail big shift and the strategies that would help and are helping brands globally to thrive. To start with that, I think the first big trend is omnichannel shopping. When I say omnichannel, I think it's not what brands or organizations decide. I think omnichannel is a way which consumers are, and it's a reality in the current times, which means as consumers, we are spending equal times in physical world as we are spending in digital world. And hence, it is imperative for brands to become truly omnichannel, which means that at any point in time, provide that opportunity and that convenience to consumers that they could reach out to your products and brands, not just in the physical realm, but it could be on demand whenever they want to get in touch. And the degree of omnichannelization has been exponentially growing. To put some metric into that, again, the Nielsen survey and also the latest Kantar survey, which does the entire Asia, Africa, GCC for one of the leading consumer voices, there are 85% consumers who are shopping in both online and offline worlds. And there are only 1% consumers who are shopping only online, which essentially means that omnichannel is the way to go. If there are consumers who are shopping offline, they are more likely to also shop online and vice versa. And hence, the onus is on the brands to set up a seamless, convenient journey for consumers where they seamlessly dabble in both online and offline worlds. The second big trend is social commerce is going to stay there. I think we've seen one of the biggest disruptions in the content economy in last 5 years. I think it's just a arm away, a hand away, where you could see a content creator near you. The content creators are not just on leading social platforms, but they have disrupted the way even content is being consumed. And that content disruption is not just happening in cinema, it's not just happening in the world of publication and news, but content creation has also disrupted everyday entertainment, where I think an average time that a consumer spends is on social media like Instagram, Facebook, Reels, and so on and so forth. And social commerce, which is beyond e-commerce, is slated to be almost a $30 billion kind of an economy in next 3 years, and would not be surprising that it would contribute upwards of 25% of the global e-commerce. And hence, thinking the social commerce way is essentially the new way to get in touch with brands, for brands to get in touch with consumers, saying that it's not just a shop front which is digital, but what can you do more with the content to engage the consumers. And I think one of the best examples that we saw was the starting ad that was there. The third big trend is personalization is going to go a long way. And the way personalization is happening, it's not just leveraging a one-on-one kind of a treatment for consumers, but it's also leveraging a whole lot of technology, right from IoT to AI. And what we see right now is a whole new disruption and a tipping point with ChatGPT, which essentially enables not just a typical chatbot or a conversational disruption, but ChatGPT is also enabling professionals and brands to engage with consumers in a much more personalized manner. And I think the way we have seen the entire journey as consumers in last 30 years, the newer generation, especially the Gen Zs and the post-2000 Gen Ys, they are being adapted to the new normal, which means that they expect experiences which are personalized. For them, having conversations through WhatsApp, interacting with AI-enabled platforms is a norm. And hence, personalization would be the next big thing, which would essentially enable a brand to have a much more high degree of success than the other ones. Moving on, as the clutter of social commerce and digital commerce comes up, the biggest differentiator would be reviews and ratings. And if I quote a statistic, there are almost 100,000 D2C brands that have come up in last 3 years during the times of COVID. And these are 100,000 brands which are both aggregated and unaggregated. but that's one of the biggest clutters in the entire paradigm of retail, which essentially means that the only way consumers would be able to trust and brands would be able to bring in authenticity to their products is through genuine reviews and ratings. In fact, reviews and ratings impact 80% more in terms of influencing the shoppers, and price is only 20-25%. So it's not just competitive pricing, but it's about getting genuinely in touch with your consumers and driving that engagement so that the brand scores essentially get differentiated. The next big trend is, again, a big focus that we'll see in the next 3 to 5 years on circular economy, which essentially means that as products, brand owners, and within retail fraternity, organizations will have to think in terms of a circular economy, saying that it's not just important to create products, send it, ship it, or sell it to consumers and increase the carbon footprint and wastage by the expiry of those products. A circular economy would not just push brands to think in a complete circle, which means also thinking about the shelf life of their products, the expiry, and how do they bring back those used products back into the value chain again to make the best out of it. I think that impact will also redefine the way environmental, social, and governance scores, the much talked about ESG compliances for various brands and organizations would again differentiate themselves. Next, I think, is the big trend that we'll see much more shaping up is metaverse. As we talk about metaverse, the median age of metaverse right now as we talk is 13 years, which means that the next generation is the one which is experiencing metaverse the most. And it is stated anywhere, these metrics, there are around 100 million people globally who are active on metaverse. So essentially, when we look at 10 years, 20 years down the line, the biggest channel or the biggest journey that consumers would have traversed 2 decades is on metaverse. And hence, dabbling into that world and getting the first steps into metaverse, and a whole lot of brands globally and India have also taken nascent steps into setting up their shop fronts on metaverse, but that's the next big thing coupled with AI. Lastly, I think D2C is the big trend, which, as I mentioned again, the whole new way of democratization, which essentially I call it not just the omnichannel way, but it's the way the new retail works and consumers shop, which is called Phygital, which is a portmanteau of physical and digital. And D2C is enabling consumers not to just experience physical shop fronts, but essentially to enable a seamless access across on demand. And lastly, I think retail will get more democratized through the advent of AI. AI is not just getting into every part of the value chain of retail, right from dynamic pricing to much more efficient supply chain and backend systems, but also increasing the degree of personalizations that consumers have while they interact with brands. So summing up, I think all in all, when we look back in last 3 years, I think it's been a whole new opportunity and opening up a whole new world of paradigm shift that we've witnessed both as part of brands being professionals, but most importantly, it's been a true consumer delight. What we have witnessed, if you look back in 10 years, we've witnessed more retail than I think our previous generations have done in last 30 to 40 years, right? And hence, it's completely overwhelming to see that the learning curve ahead of us, both as brand owners and as retailers, is humongous. And with that note and that thought, thank you very much to all of you, and my, again, deep congratulations to the entire forum, the Asia, Africa, GCC, and I'm hoping the day all of us will get a whole lot of enriching discussions and a whole lot of engagements with a whole lot of professionals. Thank you very much, guys. Have a good day.